Hey friends, welcome to the Johnson City Living Podcast, where we learn about the people, places, events, and flavors that make Johnson City just a lovely place to live. I'm your host, Collin Johnson with the Collin and Carly Group and Keller Williams Realty. If you're interested in buying or selling a home in the area, or if you're looking at investing in a rental property, give us a call at 423-930-8003, and we will look forward to helping you. Now, let's get to today's episode. I'm here with my new friend, Ben Christian, Price and Ramey. He's the Chief Strategy Officer. And welcome to the podcast, Ben.
Thank you, Collin. It's great to be here. Tickled to be. Is tickled okay to say?
I think you can say tickled on a podcast. I don't think that's too off
Maybe
color.
I should sit up straighter in the chair and be a little more proper. I don't know.
No.
Tickled to death to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Well, glad to have you. So, Johnson City Living Podcast, first thing I ask everybody is, sure, what do you love most about Johnson City?
I suppose of the Tri-Cities, there appears to be more diversity in Johnson City. I don't know if it's the college. I don't know if it's just, how areas just metamorphosize. But yeah, we have offices in each of the Tri-Cities areas. I suppose the diversity, and there's a vibrancy that appears to be in Johnson City that you may not see that same thing historically and culturally within the other areas of the Tri-Cities. Bristol with the casino, they're going to be nipping at the heels. A lot of changes in Bristol, but Johnson City always seems to have maybe a desire to reinvent itself at least somewhat. Yeah, that's a neat thing to behold.
I've grown up around in between Johnson City and Jonesboro, and call it the Johnson City home for sure for a long time now, and I kind of like it better than the rest of them.
Yeah, well.
But don't tell anybody I said that. But it is a great spot. Bristol and Kingsport, though, they each have their own flavor, which is kind of cool. Yeah. And then we've got a lot of little surrounding suburbs that are great, like Jonesboro and Irwin, and Elizabethton is fantastic.
And as commerce continues to happen, there's a blending and a blurring of the lines between them. I don't know if it's going to be annexation or just maybe how people move, but and you're in real estate, so you know where people are moving to tells you a lot about the confidence that somebody has in the area and the school systems and everything else. And you see a lot of folks want to be in Johnson City light. Right. They want to be part of the schools and part of what's going on, whether they work and sort of live somewhere else. They want to reside toward Johnson City, which is an interesting thing too.
It is kind of crazy. I think it'll be interesting to. Hopefully, I won't be around to see it. Maybe I'd be 102, but in 50 years, what it looks like, because I think they may all just be, we may have to come up with a bigger name for all three of them combined.
Well, there have been rumors about that stuff forever. I don't think it'll ever, in my lifetime, right? But who knows? Who knows? Time changes and time keeps on ticking.
So you're Chief Strategy Officer with Price and Ramey. You've been with them for about 22 years.
Yes, sir.
What does a Chief Strategy Officer do?
It sounds real fancy, doesn't it?
It does sound pretty fancy. I kind of like it.
Yeah, well, sounds
like you're super smart. I
don't know about that.
Well,
I may have
your title says that.
I may have people super fooled, but
that's what I try and do every day.
Well, whatever works, right? Chief Strategy Officer is going to take a lot of things into account about how you want to distribute, how you want to operate, what you want to do, how your culture needs to look. It's kind of a modernized term in some of the C-suite stuff, but it really is looking at all the other departments and trying to mesh things together and really see how we're doing, what we're doing, work along underneath the Chief Executive Officer to, of course, accomplish that vision, but what's the best way for us to blend all this stuff together and work along with? That's probably the best way that I would put what the role is supposed to be. In an insurance agency, how many ways are there to do that, right?
Right.
But we are not a small shop. We have 5 branch offices throughout our footprints in East Tennessee. Okay. And so how's the best way for us to distribute, do the internal things the right way? What do we look like outside? How do we interact? A lot of those things, working with the other executives in the agency to bring some perspective. So that may be the best way to characterize it, what it is and what our version of it is.
Now, did you start off in that role?
I did not. Actually, I started off, the agency was smaller then, but way back when the owner at the time was Keith Sims and Joe Wimberly, and I had known Keith, and Keith has such a great mind for business and growth and strategy, and so he brought me in to help bring us from being a smaller agency to have a larger flair. I'd worked for one of the larger corporations around, and it was in their accounting department. So I came to do accounting and operations and oversee the IT structure, which is again was kind of rudimentary at the time. And so I did that for a while, and then there was more growth opportunities in the commercial insurance sector.
Sure.
And so I sort of left some of the back office things to use some of the tools and the skills and the degree path to talk to other business owners in the area and try to distribute commercial insurance. And that's really kind of where I built the majority of my career out.
Okay.
And then it continued to develop into to being an executive and kind of pulling the old jobs that I had done in the new job and marrying that stuff together. So that's kind of what's.
Was it hard to leave the sales side of it to move into more management?
You know, I think it was probably harder to leave some management things to go to sales the first time, because once you've had your hands on things to the inner workings of it, that was more difficult to just kind of stay in a lane that is really designed to help the agency to thrive by selling.
Right.
And you have to pivot and say, well, helping the agency now is to try to grow it.
Right.
And grow it through growing your own brand, I guess, if you will. That was a tough switch to flip, I suppose. It was easier to come back because I'm over our commercial division as well through part of the responsibilities that we have. And so I'm helping agents every day with some of those challenges. But the unfortunate thing is I love the customer interaction, but by the time it gets to me now, it's a lot of times things are already heating up. And so some of the interaction is damage control, I suppose, if you will. But I still get to scratch that itch. So that was less difficult because I'm still able to be involved in some fun part of sales as well.
Yeah, I know insurance can't be just all fun all the time, right? I mean, they're unfortunately there are claims, and that's why we have insurance.
There are.
And but sometimes we don't have the right insurance or the right level, or this we didn't focus on getting covered, or whatever that might be.
Yeah. And that's a major challenge because insurance companies are also changing how they do. And we're an independent agency.
So you could write multiple different companies.
We can. So finding the right home, that helps us more than maybe some, because we don't just have to take what our single carrier, if we were a captive agency, we would just have to take what that underwriter said as the gospel.
Right.
Fortunately, we were able to find a different chapter and a verse and a different gospel to try to help somebody live by, if you will. So to find other homes, probably the wrong analogy, but.
No, I get it. What do you love most about your job?
Man, I really love to, the current job that I have, I really love the opportunity to take a fresh look and a fresh perspective at what we do and to work with our other executive team to enable a new way and a better way. I like helping people, and I love to help our agents become the best version of themselves. So those are other just things. Also, insurance is a noble thing. I know through history, people have looked at insurance agents with, let's just say, a healthy skepticism, right? Because you pay all this money and then something doesn't happen the way that it's supposed to happen, and it feels like, well, they're just out to get your money. But I'm happy and fulfilled in that we're also there for people at the lowest points in their life.
Right.
If you have a house to burn down and everything was handled as it should be, it feels really nice to be able to come in and put somebody's life back together with the simplicity of a check. And who else can say that, right? So
that's a privilege.
It really is. So you don't think about it being a noble thing and a true profession, but we would like to say that insurance, when done correctly, is every bit as important as the attorney in your life, the CPA in your life, and maybe even the doctor in your life, because each one of those folks are going to help to put your life in the right place, and they help you keep the most important things available to you and accessible, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. You left off real estate agent.
Well, now that's, of course, the vital. Hey, got to find somewhere to live.
So your agency's over 110 years old.
We are.
That's crazy.
Very proud of that.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
How did it get started? So, I mean, because you said you were working for two other gentlemen that aren't Price or Ramey.
Correct.
When you started.
There's probably Prices around and Ramey's around, but none around the shop.
Gotcha.
So when it first started, I think it was actually like something like Kingsport Insurance, and then there
Okay.
was a Burbage and Price, that name was in there. It sort of wound itself through some other namings, but the corporate structure kind of just persisted and remained the same. So the Prices and the Rameys, they had sold to a couple of gentlemen, as I understand it, the Wimberly brothers, and they understood business and that there's goodwill is on a balance sheet for a reason.
Yep.
So there's no reason to change that naming. So even though there were no other Prices and no other Rameys, that remained. And so they bought that in the early 50s, and Joe Wimberly remained engaged in that, and then Keith Sims was his partner. And so Keith's who brought me in. And again, it's a long history, lots of great people. But we started as a single agency shop for the longest time, and then expanded into Elizabethton and Johnson City, Morristown, and the offices that we currently have again are Bristol, Johnson City, Kingsport, Morristown, and Tazewell,
Yeah.
New Tazewell, Tennessee.
That's cool. Now, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Gate City, Virginia.
Oh, yeah.
I still actually live in Gate City.
Do you really?
Even though, we trounce all over the
Yeah.
place now. But Kingsport North is what Gate City should be.
It is. It's it's a suburb of Kingsport.
Well, they teach you three things in Gate City.
Oh, I like this.
The 3 R's: reading, writing, and the road to Kingsport. That's what you get, But I love where I live. I love the people. But
I was going to say, give us some highlights of Gate City because it's pretty.
Gate City's wonderful.
The downtown is gorgeous.
I live in a community actually called Manville, Virginia.
Man,
My dad says Gate City's in the sticks, but we're so far in the sticks, they get their sticks from us.
oh,
So it's outside of Gate City, and we're up in the mountains, and it is beautiful.
It is
Gate
beautiful.
City's a neat place. There's some revitalization efforts since we're talking how we live and do and commerce and all that stuff. There's some efforts to kind of revamp some of the shops and some of the downtown. They can take some notes for a lot of what's going on here in beautiful Johnson City.
Yeah.
And I think some are trying to take some notes to that, because a lot of people like a downtown environment. They like to be able to walk to the places they want to go, maybe saving gas, maybe they just want the steps. But either way, I see, because we are in multiple areas, I see a lot of downtown areas trying to have some revitalization, if I can use the word again.
It is kind of funny how it's cyclical, right? I mean, like the downtown died, everybody moved out north or south or west or whatever, and now they're coming back in.
Well, and you could tell that story better than most with people buying homes and wanting to come back. I mean, the grass is not always greener. Our young folks oftentimes will go out young, and then when they realize this really isn't like the way I was raised, or I miss some of the moments that in the ease of life. Let's go back home because I've already seen some of the glitz and glamour, and then they want to come back to where life may be a little slower, but not slow to a snail's pace.
100%. Yeah, I think they didn't know what they had when they had it, kind of thing. And I think that's true for us on a lot of levels too.
Oh, I think you said a mouthful. It's true. There was a song back in the 80s, I don't remember which rock band it was, but you don't know what you got till it's gone.
Yes.
I think it's more than just a cliche.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is the longer you live, the more you understand that. But then the wisdom that you gain, you don't have the youth and exuberance to enact that stuff anymore. But so we look back fondly. But that's probably a philosophical thing, and I don't know that you're here to talk philosophy.
No, hey, we'll talk about whatever. Now, did you go to school in Gate City, and then did you come to
Actually, we lived in Gate City. I went to a Christian school in Kingsport.
Oh, cool.
And so, went through that, and then went to college over here in Tennessee, Northeast State, and then I finished up at Milligan.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's funny. I was on a cruise a couple of weeks ago. I know Mitch, who helps with the podcast, he was on a cruise, and when people ask me where I'm from, I noticed myself part-time saying Virginia, part-time saying Tennessee.
Yeah.
Because really the only thing I do is live in Virginia.
Right.
And everything else, my church is over in Tennessee, our agency's in Tennessee, all the things we buy seem to be in Tennessee. Most of the enjoyment, the things that we do, is Tennessee. I guess it just goes to show how homogenous the area is.
Yeah. Would you see yourself moving to Tennessee?
I could.
Yeah.
I could, but we have some the property's easier to come by, and we've got a little bit of land and some hunting and fishing opportunities and things like that. But the environment in Tennessee, I guess the legal climate, maybe even the demographics, and it's probably in line with our part of the state more than. But now
You got a
that's all
state
I get
income
to
tax in Virginia.
do.
I don't know what that would save you by moving across the border.
I
you
guess
may be rolling.
I guess
it may save you thousands and thousands
save
of
me
dollars.
literally dozens of pennies a year.
Hundreds of pennies every year.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, talk to me a little bit about your insurance company. What all do you all specialize in?
Well, primarily we'd be property and casualty,
Okay.
and within that we are probably mostly business.
Okay.
But we also do a lot of home and automobile, and we also have a department for health insurance and for life insurance, which a lot of folks don't understand. Maybe the independent agency environment. We're not advertising nationally like you're going to see your some of the red folks with the 3 circles and Jake from State Farm
Right.
or whatever, right? And they do a great job. There are no disparaging comments here coming from that.
No.
They got that national brand. There's a lot of resources put behind that.
For sure.
Maybe some other national companies that are more just direct writers. And people don't understand often what would come with an independent agency. So within that, we have a lot of flexibility to offer products that maybe some direct writers could not.
Yeah.
We can do your health insurance internally. We have access to all of the health insurance folks that are writing in the state. The prominent, probably Blue Cross, Blue Shield be the prominent one.
Sure.
But there are others as well.
Yeah.
And with life insurance also, home and auto, and we don't have to put everybody with the same company. We have folks that can make their own choice and make their purchases all kinds of different ways. So we offer, we believe, and I believe we could probably prove more flexibility for the buyer than maybe some.
Okay. But I like it. I know, a lot of times you hear that bundling is helpful, right?
Sure.
So if you say, hey, I want you to not just do my house, but cars, boats,
absolutely,
kids,
and
dogs, whatever.
There are carriers. Yeah, there are carriers. Well, pet insurance is coming.
That's true. It's
a growing thing, right?
Our dog just broke her little foot the other day, and I'm like, yep, we should have had some pet insurance.
That up.
But it's
there are some when it comes to personal insurance. These companies set themselves up to have some slot rating breaks, right? You have your home, you have your auto. Great, we'll give you a discount. Maybe if you add a life policy, that happens, and that happens maybe on the direct writer side, but it also happens on the agency side.
Give our listeners a little tip or maybe some insight on how best to shop for insurance, because it's out there, right? And you can go online and get 50 million quotes in 2 seconds, but then you don't know who's backing it. You don't know what's, I hear, a lot of times people that I'm helping buy houses will just go online and get Geico or, whatever. They're just getting an online quote and they're like, okay, we're good. And I'm like, well, what happens when your house, you do have a claim, who do you get a hold of? How does that work? So maybe just talk to us a little bit about the best way to shop.
The best way to shop for it, man, this is going to sound so self-serving. And so
it's like a softball question for you.
I don't know if it's a softball question, but the immediate answer, and I only know one way to be. The people that know me that may hornswoggle themselves into watching this podcast, they're going to predict what I say, what I'm going to say anyway, because I'm a free flow of information. If I think it, it
just comes on out.
Yeah. The first thing I think of when you ask me that question is trust. You need to be able to trust someone to lead you
100%.
there. Most of the time, we have to get licensure examinations and study and all that stuff. So there's things that come with that. Not every policy is going to be built the same. And not everybody's going to really think about the things that they have and even do a proper inventory within themselves of what do I need to cover?
Right.
What's important? What is the thing that I would miss the most if it's gone?
Yeah.
And having a conversation with somebody is different than just buying something on the internet. You're relying on your trust in yourself. And I'm not saying your listeners don't have a reason to trust themselves. Of course they do. But they're relying on themselves to be the professional or a piece of software to be the professional. And regardless of how great AI is going to get, I still believe in the power of people.
100%.
People.
Yeah.
Right? So, so you need to be able to trust a person.
Yeah.
And interview multiple people. Don't just call one place, right? But get your money's worth, right? And make sure Once upon a time, I was in a networking group with a travel agent,
Okay.
and I guess I had always thought if you use a travel agent, you're going to pay more money.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
I mean, it make you think that, right?
I was educated to the contrary.
Yeah, amen. Yeah.
I didn't realize that just because you use a travel agent, it doesn't mean you're going to pay more, because they're compensated not from you, they're compensated from the cruise line or the
Airline or the resort,
the hotel or the
yeah.
resort, however it goes. And I guess I would want to echo something similar to that. When you go to an independent agency like us, or when you go to a shop of your choice, you're getting the people that come along with the
Right.
product, right?
Yeah.
And you're getting the interpretation of this product. You don't need to be the professional. So that's probably a long answer to maybe a simple question. You ask for a tip, not a dissertation. But that's what I would say is talk to a person and really dig in and find somebody that's going to help you become a better buyer.
Yeah, and I think going local. Carly and I try and buy local as much as we can, use local people. I think having a local representative that I can call and be like, hey, Ben, I just had a wreck.
Yeah.
I need you to help me out here. Or whatever.
Tri-Cities.
I'm on it, and like I can be there, or I'm actually around the corner. I'll be there in 2 seconds and take a look at it with you or whatever,
Being able to walk in and wipe your feet on somebody's carpet if you're good and mad, that's important to be able to come in and have somebody local. And also the area is not so large that we can hide from one another.
Right.
We do have a great place.
Yeah.
We're not in some big metropolis to where you don't have neighbors. We have neighbors, and we have people that are happy to help people.
Sure.
One thing I love about you asked me about Southwest Virginia a minute ago. One of the reasons why it'd be hard to leave is because I love the beauty of it all, but people still really do help one another and go out of their way to do so. But you still have neighbors here. And so it is still neighbors helping neighbors. And I hope that continues for as long as I'm above the ground. And so having a local person that is a neighbor that knows your kids play t-ball together, possibly, you're going to the same football game on
same
Friday
church.
night, you're going to the same church, you're eating at the same restaurants. You don't want to duck out on one another. You want to be able to look one another in the eye and feeling that kind of responsibility to your as an agent.
Yeah.
You want to do them right. So yeah, buying local and using local people. And look, if you want to look at it just in the terms of economics as well, keeping your dollars local, forget about any loyalty, forget about just getting good service, which I believe you'll get better service from local people.
Agreed.
But forget that part of it. You're helping the local economy, something that your kids are going to want jobs. And when they come up, have we kept our dollars working for us?
We're turning those dollars over locally,
man.
using them over and over and over, which is only going to help our area continue to grow and get better and do stuff. So what do you, and it looks like you and your wife have been married quite a while, which is good.
Congratulations to me.
Congratulations
to her, right?
you. Yes, she hasn't killed you.
No, not
If
yet.
you're like, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, same with my
When's
wife.
this podcast air? She's still got time.
That's true. You may not make it. We'll see. But you also coach boys basketball.
I do. I coach Gate City Christian School.
Okay.
The boys' high school basketball.
Nice. How many guys are on the team there? And how
last year I think we had 10 boys that come out. It's not a huge school, but they do a great job over there.
Yeah.
And proud that my kids go there. Plug for them. It's a great Christian school with great administrators and good kids and good families and good support. And so I don't know how many kids they're going to have in the high school area, but it's K through 12 over there.
Yeah.
And so you get who comes out, and so we've had a good group, and we're reloading for this next year. We'll have a bit of a smaller roster, but
that's fun. How old are your boys?
My boys are 18 and 15.
Okay.
My oldest son just graduated.
I was going to say you lost one of them.
Lost one of them. He's going on to college and working and doing all that good stuff. So
yeah.
The 15-year-old, he's going to stick with it, and so the kids, it's a good connection. I was a youth pastor for several years as well, and so you get to want to invest in young people, and that's a way that I always love sports too. So you can scratch that itch and help invest in their lives, and watch them become young men.
Yeah. What was your first job?
Well, do you call farming a job? We had a hobby farm, so I learned the value of work from that. my family built homes when I was growing up as well.
Cool.
So working along with them was a good thing.
Did you get some carpentry skills out of that?
I didn't learn as much then as I learned how to learn over the years. Am I getting paid by the word? I'm not getting paid at all. Keep on using words that are unnecessary.
Yes, you will. It is by the word.
But yes. I did pick up some carpentry skills and have learned a little more along the way.
Yeah.
And it's strange. And I've still got my dad and my grandpa, but they taught me those things. And even if it's something that I just watched them to do, they weren't the most patient folks, so they would rather just
knock
do
it
it.
themselves.
They'd just knock it out and let you watch. And now when I figure it out, I think about it. I'm like, so that's how they actually did it, you know? And you feel a closeness to them when you actually get to do some of that stuff. So that's kind of a hobby of mine as well.
Yeah, and living on a farm and growing up, I've grown up around farms, and I mean, it helps you learn how to do everything. You know, you got to be able to figure it out. You got to be able to fix a tractor. You got to be able to, you know, run wire, run pipe. I mean, do all kinds of stuff.
You do, and you work when it's time to work.
Yeah. When the sun's up, right?
Yeah. You know, in your line of work, is it you got 8 to 5?
I wish. That'd be nice.
You got to make hay when the sun shines.
Yes, and the sun's in the summer. It's like from 7 a.m. Well, it's like more like 6 to 10. It feels like.
So you learn the value of work, and in the insurance business, you also it's the same thing. You when somebody needs you, you show up. When something needs to be brought in, you bring it in.
Yeah. What's one thing that you have learned over the years that you could say, this really impacted me well, and I could pass this on to your boys who may be listening to this podcast?
Gosh, man. Well, I don't know what all is supposed to be and not supposed to be said on your podcast.
You can say whatever you want.
I would say this, that the faith is something that's important within our community. I think a lot of folks. So a lot of people are going to have a different version of that. So without jumping into all of what that looks like, I would say what I've learned over the years is the core of who you are. You have to be true and faithful to that, but there have to be things and absolutes that you can look to that are greater than yourself to hold you accountable to be the best version of yourself. And so I hear a lot of people today talk about being true to themselves and it's their truth or whatever, you know. And while I think that people do need to be honest with themselves and be, you know, who they are, I think we were all created to be great. And I think without a faith and without an understanding of who we're supposed to be, without holding ourselves accountable to something greater than us. And again, I've not even mentioned the Bible or any of that yet. There's something.
You're a creator. Somebody created you.
What you believe, you need to be the best version of what that creator expects out of you.
For sure.
And so what I would say is don't rest on yesterday and don't assume that you have every plan for everything. Go back to your basics, go back to your core. For me, I'm going to go back to biblical basics, and that's going to be the final determination in my life, because I'm not going to have all the answers, and I'm not going to know everything. And when I don't, which is often, I can go back to the principles that have stood the test of time and measure myself against that, and then make whatever adjustments and improvements that need to be. Or if I'm walking directly in that, it's a nice confirmation that I just need to stay the course. So I don't know. I don't know if that answers your question or not, but what would I say is to stay true to who you are, but also to who you're supposed to be. Yeah. And go back to that blueprint for your life to make sure you are.
Yeah, I think we know when we're off track, right? I mean, I feel like that's, in my belief, the Holy Spirit is convicting me of not going in the right path or doing something that I shouldn't, or
I couldn't agree
making
more.
a bad decision or whatever it might be. And then I think people are looking for direction. They're looking for hope and joy and peace and patience and goodness and all that stuff. And and I'm with you. There's a direct path to the Creator, and the Lord, He wants you to do well.
Fortunately for those of us who would be Christians and do have the Spirit of God, and working in your life, I know when I make a mistake, I have not just my own conscience, but there's somebody else that's saying, hey, are you sure?
Right.
And it's nice to be able to, it's bad when I step across that line anyway. And I'm just like, well, I'm going to be mad because I'm going to be mad, or I'm going to say this and I'm going to,
Act
whatever
like
that
this,
is.
or whatever it might be.
That's right. But we have a help to maybe keep us from those things. So I couldn't agree anymore.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and I think the Lord is gathering lots of people here, like from all over the world, because we have such a strong faith here. And I think he wants us to not hide that under a bushel and really go out and love people like he does, and teach them how to, all about him and how to pray with him. And I mean, and what life looks like when you turn your life over to him. It's a whole lot better, because I'm going to screw it up every time.
Yeah. Well, me too.
Yeah.
And while we're on this particular subject, in Matthew, I think it was somewhere around the 24th chapter, maybe verse 16, there was a young Pharisee lawyer that approached Jesus and it was trying to catch him in some kind of problem. And he said, Master, he said, Rabbi, what's the greatest commandment in the law? And you probably already know what I'm going to say. Jesus responded and he said, well, the greatest commandment is this, that you love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul and mind. And then he gave him a bonus, though.
Right. The second part
is that you love your neighbor as yourself. Then he further went on to say, upon these two things hang all the laws and the prophets. As Christian people, we have a responsibility. I say we as in me, like I've got a mouse in my pocket. I'm not going to include anybody else in it.
Include me.
I have a responsibility to have a commitment to God, to live in a way that I believe that he would want me to live out some kind of conviction, because I need to be the best version of me, right?
100%.
But I need to love my neighbor enough not to beat them up with all of that.
Oh, right.
And I need to encourage them. Don't let your good be evil spoken of. So as these people come into the area, they are moving here because there's a friendliness, there's a faith, there's something that's different maybe
there's
than where they're
something that
leaving.
Feels really good here.
Right. And so we want to make sure Johnson City area, right? Washington County, Sullivan County, Scott County, Virginia, to be welcoming, but man, I wish that all Christian people would make sure that that we do show the love of God as a primary, and not be worried so much about how another Christian may perceive the grace that we want to operate within. And look, I believe strongly in having convictions, but I also believe that we really need to share the love of God. If we don't, people won't want what we have.
Amen.
And it's a problem for me when I consider that when I look at the Bible that people didn't have a problem with Jesus. And I still believe today most people don't have a problem with Jesus. Most people have a problem with some of the followers when we are still stuck in this flesh and we think we're doing the right thing and maybe have the best of intentions, but we just mess up.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can just keep loving people, we'll get further along. And I don't know. I'm sorry, man.
No, I think that's right. That's the message.
Too much here.
No, I think like we're supposed to love people well and take great care of them, and I think that's what's really attractive to our area. I think so. Had a couple New Yorkers in my car about 30 minutes ago now, and I was telling them the same story. I think that they said they were like, everybody is so nice here, and I said, yeah, we are, and I said, we love people, and we want, and we want to love you and take care of you and do good things for you and take care of you. And we want you to do the same. Yeah. And if you're the biggest jerk ever, just keep driving, but.
Do you travel a lot?
We do travel quite a bit.
You want to measure the friendliness of our area versus others? Start saying howdy to everybody in a bigger city.
That's right.
They're going to be like, what in the world?
What is wrong with you?
You're going to get yourself in trouble if you start making eye contact with people.
Yeah.
Well, here, if you don't, right,
something's wrong with you.
Something's wrong if you're not saying hello back. So,
and we're waving in the neighborhood, like when you pull, like wave at all the cars.
It's fantastic for general friendliness and sharing some what I believe is a good culture overall.
Yeah, I try and look people in the eye when I pass them and smile. And does it cost me anything? No.
It don't cost you anything.
It doesn't cost me anything. What have been some of you didn't get here easily probably to your your new role or your role? I don't know how long you've been in it, but what have been some of the difficult things you've had to deal with in the insurance gig over the years that were like, wow,
Rejection, pal.
rejection?
Yeah, man.
You get rejected? Same here. I do too. It's
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, and it's daily when you're in sales.
Yeah.
Uh, But there's always rejection, even if it's to concepts. Now the rejection would come in the form of, hey, let's try to do this to better ourselves. Well, it's tougher when you're getting rejected by the people that you're working with every day.
Right.
It's one thing when you're going out. So yeah, I would say rejection. And so for any listener, that whatever that you're doing, right? If you're selling something or if you're coming up with a concept or a process or whatever, the resilience to get beyond rejection is probably a takeaway that I would want to offer to anybody, because it's going to come.
Right. You're going to have to make a bunch of quotes, and
Sure.
you may get 10% of those to come through, and
That's right.
and so the other 90 said, sorry, we don't want you. So you got rejected, right?
But you don't feed your family on the nose.
No. So you got to get to the yeses.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I've heard other people say, the more no's they got, the more encouraged they would become, because they knew that the
yes is around the corner.
The yes is around the corner, because the law of averages is going to be that somebody's going to say yes pretty soon.
Yeah. So same. I got to go out every day and try and drum up new business for my family and our team now.
You can't be sitting back aggressively waiting for the phone to ring.
You cannot.
That's not. It's not going to be.
You cannot. Luckily, we've been in it for quite a while, like you, and you get repeat customers.
Sure.
And it does ring a lot, which is
Absolutely.
great. So, yeah, I mean, where do you see the industry headed for insurance in maybe the next 5 to 10 years?
There's going to be a lot more players jumping in the marketplace for web-based purchasing. With AI, it's really hard to predict exactly what's going to happen.
Right.
There'll be companies that want to jump in. How successful they'll be, I don't know, right? But we're fooling ourselves if we don't believe that there's going to be some automated competition to jump in.
100%. Yeah.
And that may be for real estate as well. You probably hear some of those rumblings about, but it's not easy to sell a home and do it the right way, right?
The same. I think there's always going to be a human interaction. There has to be.
There have to be.
However, we can use the tools to make their experience a lot better.
Sure. And I think what you just said is where I was gonna also chime in there, is there will be tools that will be able to be utilized by people to help put more power in the hands of a policyholder. Yeah. And so we're working on some things now to do just that, because you want somebody to have a 24-hour service cycle when possible. Mm-hmm. But when we're working with people, you're not having 3 shifts at a local agency, right? You're probably not selling homes 24/7, 365. But you want people to be able to have a view of things and what's progress look like on my deal. And so are there portals? Are there things that we can do? The answer to that is yes. And so the same technology that may want to try to become a direct competitor, we would want to utilize leverage in order to let that come along beside us to help provide something to our customers so they can have the best of both worlds.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is going to be interesting to see which way it goes. Or where it goes, not which way. It's going to go one way.
One way or the other. But it won't be the same.
It will not.
It'll go one direction or another, but it won't exist as it is.
Yeah. Yeah. What's something that you wish I'd ask you that I haven't on this podcast?
Man, we've kind
of run the gamut a little bit.
We have. Well, my wife's name's Mandy. My oldest son's named Kyler. My youngest son's named Bentley. They're the best things in my life.
There you go. I love it.
The Promise Apostolic Church is where I call home. I'm a music minister there.
Oh, cool.
You've hit all these things. You've allowed me a lot of space to just be able to share maybe a bit of testimony. I've tried to be respectful to you and your listeners and not.
Oh, I think
it's a lot of different things there, but I don't know that there's anything I wish that you had asked.
What do you guys like to do for fun?
Well, I like to play golf a little bit. I busted my body up playing too many sports over the years, but I also enjoy, my wife likes to raise chickens. She's gotten into chickens.
Yeah.
We have a little farm that we're working on some things there, but I like to build things, that carpentry stuff. Mm-hmm. I like to flip houses for myself, just something that I like to do the work. So I enjoy that. But my real passion is I got a job that pays the bills, and I love what I'm able to do with the agency, and the insurance business has been good to me and all that. I appreciate the people that I work with, but there's a job that I have that pays the bills and a job that I have that ultimately fulfills. And that's when I'm able to lead singing in church and help organize our team to help our congregation worship God in a better way, or the best way that we're able to, right, is to give God glory. That is fulfillment in a nutshell. It's aside from being a husband to Mandy and a father to Kyler and Bentley, the best job I have is to sing praises unto my Creator,
That's your
my
people
great
into
God,
worship. Yeah.
to be specific, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who is Jesus Christ.
Amen. Yeah.
He is my all in all, and I have zero reservations about giving him all the glory
Amen.
and
Same
none
here.
of the blame.
Yeah.
If there's anything bad that happens in my life, it's not because of him.
Nope.
And if there's anything good that happens, it's not because of me.
Right.
I am who I am for good or bad. For the good, it's because he's done it. For the bad, it's because I'm not yet what he's asked me to be.
That's right. That's right. I love it. I love it. Talk to us. Let's say somebody's driving towards Gate City, and they need to get dinner. What's the best spot in Gate City to eat dinner?
Man, that's a trick question. I suppose maybe because when I leave the area, when I come back, I didn't get in this shape being picky, but it's hard to beat Pals, right? But if you want a local spot, the Hobnob is a famous local spot.
The Hobnob. Tell us what about the Hobnob.
Oh, the Hobnob drive-in is kind of a staple over there. They still have car hops that'll come out.
Oh, sweet.
That you can go in and eat. The Campus Drive-In is also there in town. It's a great place. And there's a new shop that's got some of the best barbecue in the area, Cane Street Barbecue.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Plug those folks, good folks from Florida. You talk about transplants coming in. And I'll give them some pub. The Cuban sandwich that they got, go get it. It's delicious. They get that Cuban bread from a bakery from Tampa. It's a Cuban bakery down there. They bring it up. And so go with the Cuban sandwich at Cane Street Barbecue. And you can tell them Ben sent you, but they probably don't remember my name.
Maybe you get 5 cents off if you mention Ben sent you.
Help those good people out, and that's all I need.
I love it. I love it. That's some great info for Gate City. And then what's one other special thing about Gate City before we sign off here that you just love?
Man, I do love the people. We talked about the property tax. Yeah, man, I pay more in taxes. I got the worst of both worlds. Most of the things that you buy, the commerce happens over here. So you got 9.5% sales tax.
We do.
By the time
not
it's all
cheap.
done.
Yeah.
And then I get to work over here, but still pay my Virginia income tax. But it's the people. And my neighbors, you still have people offer to help you with things, and they don't grit their teeth when they do it. Maybe over in some pockets, people will still do it if you ask them.
Right.
You know, hey, would you mind to come over? Well, yeah, I'll come help you. But there's other people that go out of their way to help do. And so Gate City's full of people that are still neighbors to the core, and that's been my experience anyway.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I think we have great people all around the region.
Throughout. You really are.
Yeah.
And some of the rural pockets, it's going to be the same as what I just described to you.
Yeah.
And then maybe some city areas, people might be a little leery, sometimes for good reason, because stuff. We got a great area, but it's not perfect, right? And you get a concentration of folks and can't trust everybody. And I get all that, but by and large, man, it's the people.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. How can our listeners connect with you, Ben?
The easiest way, I suppose, would be start at the website, right? Okay. We have 5 local offices: Kingsport, Bristol, Johnson City, Morristown, and Tazewell. Me personally, I'm not hard to find on there. So www.priceramey.com. That's all one word, Price Ramey.
PriceRamey.com.
So,
I got it.
That's us.
Last question. What gets you just fired up? Like you're just like, let's go.
In what way?
In like just energy, like just excitement for life.
Man, I love getting people motivated. Yeah. And I guess that's where the praise and worship thing comes in. Yeah. But no matter what we're doing, I like to get people aligned. Yeah. And I get rejuvenated whenever we can get some I guess momentum and whether I'm the tip of the spear or whether somebody else is, but let's all get in line and let's have a common goal and let's go reach it. So I suppose that would be it. Is just getting everybody to go the same direction. That lights my fire, I suppose.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I'm glad we've got to chat and become friends. And I wish you the best in your role, and hopefully your company will just continue to thrive and grow. And you're probably looking for new agents to come on board, maybe?
We are always looking for customers, always looking for sales agents and folks with the, whether they have a lot of insurance experience or not, that's not really anything that we found that must be. Of course, that's great, but
just great attitude.
Attitude. You can teach somebody
aptitude.
You can teach somebody aptitude, but I can't teach you to get your car keys out from under your work boots.
That's right.
That's
right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Oh, and thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you so much.
I hope the listeners,
best to you and yours.
hope you guys listening have had a great time enjoying it. Reach out to Ben. I'm sure he'll take great care of you. Till next time, I'm Collin Johnson with the Collin and Carly Group and Keller Williams Realty. And thanks for listening to Johnson City Living Podcast. We'll see you next time.